Good day. I hope you are doing well today. Today we will take a look at 10 interesting facts about the Theed Royal Palace on Naboo from Star Wars. We will take a look at the history and the layout of the palace. Now, let's get into it.
Number 1.
Following the unification of Naboo in 832 BBY, the city of Theed was established by settlers fleeing a revolution on their own planet. Led by King Jafin, the people erected a palace on the cliffside to serve as the seat of their new planet-wide government. During King Jafin's reign, the monarch began a tradition that each consecutive ruler would follow, adding a new building to the massive structure. Jafin's addition, a massive tower containing the turret room and a small temple, would be a place for future monarchs to pay homage to the past leaders of Naboo.
Number 2.
In 65 BBY, King Bone Tapalo occupied the palace and was known for throwing raucous parties and indulging in nefarious business deals within the palace walls. He erected a tower alongside the palace in accordance with Jafin's tradition. One such meeting occurred deep within the central building, in a banquet hall set to receive the Muons of the intergalactic banking clan and Magister Hago Damask of Damask Holdings. The Muons pitched a scheme to exploit the plasma-rich planet and export the refined substance out of the star system in exchange for funding Tapalo's re-election campaign. Ultimately, the deal was struck, and Naboo ascended to the greater galactic plasma industry.
Number 3.
In a similar fashion, King Ars Varuna continued to welcome corrupt guests into the palace, such as Black Sun Underlord Alexi Garen and Gardulla the Hutt and her Bandogora guards. During his reign, Varuna established an extensive library in a rear tower in hopes of garnering favor with his constituents. Source: when the Naboo became disenchanted with Varuna's handling of the worsening relationship with the Trade Federation, the king was forced to abdicate, and Padme Amidala was elected as his successor. Bringing in reform, Queen Amidala scarcely ruled before the Trade Federation invaded the planet and forced the queen to flee.
Number 4.
As Federation Viceroy Newt Gunray took up residence in the palace in 32 BBY following his successful capture of Theed, Queen Amidala was returning to Naboo with 2 members of the Jedi Order to put an end to the occupation. Escorted by members of the Royal Naboo Security Forces and Master Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Amidala forced her way into the main hangar alongside the plasma refinery complex. From the hangar, Amidala and her soldiers were able to reach the base of the palace, using a little-known route to gain access to the spacious, ceremonial halls. Reaching the central tower, the Queen and her escort used their ascension guns to scale the palace walls, avoiding the bulk of the Federation army patrolling the halls. As the group descended to the throne room level, the battle droids of the Trade Federation outnumbered them, and the Naboo were disarmed and escorted inside. Defenseless and seemingly at the mercy of Viceroy Gunray, the arrival of Amidala's decoy, Sabe, turned the tide of the palace battle. Amidala was able to arm herself with pistols concealed in the throne, and her men made short work of the battle droids that remained in the room. With the Viceroy detained, and after the destruction of the Federation's droid control ship and their army of droids, the battle to retake the planet was over.
Number 5.
In the wake of destruction that had plagued Naboo, Amidala finished out her reign as queen and was replaced by Jamilia in 25 BBY, taking up residence in the palace. The complex remained in use through the reigns of Queens Niutni and Apolana, both of whom ruled during the Clone Wars. When the war ended abruptly and the Republic was replaced with the Galactic Empire, Senator Bail Organa of Alderaan arrived at the palace with the body of Naboo's former queen and senator, Padme Amidala. Amidala's body was carried out of the palace during a grand funeral procession attended by all of Theed and countless of the politician's friends and colleagues from across the galaxy.
Number 6.
As the Empire tightened its grip on Naboo, Queen Apolana was discovered to be sheltering fugitives of the Empire, namely members of the now outlawed Jedi Order. Sending down legions of stormtroopers to enforce martial law on the city, the Empire seized the palace and killed the Queen. Installing the loyal Queen Calantha in the palace, Naboo remained within the Empire for the duration of the Emperor's reign. When word of Palpatine's death reached the palace in 4 BY, throngs of Naboo and Gungan swarmed Palace Plaza and the palace in rebellion against the local Imperial garrison. Taking the palace and routing the Imperials, the Naboo went on to gain independence from the Empire shortly thereafter.
Number 7.
The Royal Palace of Theed was a massive complex of sandstone-like blocks formed into towers and rotundas with cupolas covered in green tile. The largest structure in the city, it was the home of the planetary government and the destination of foreign diplomats and ambassadors. A central drum-shaped structure took up the majority of the complex, with a taller, narrower tower being the tallest point. Erected on a cliff face, the palace had several watchtowers on the rocky face, placed to detect a rear attack from the valley below. Additions to the palace during each new administration was traditional in a way for the new monarch to curry favor with their constituents. The palace was surrounded by a vast garden complex. A pool in the garden was capable of being drained. A security gate required a passcode for entrance and exit into the garden. A secret passage led through the garden to the Theed Hangar.
Number 8.
Filled with vast, cavernous corridors crafted by Naboo's own artisans, the royal palace was a showcase of the great sculptors and craftsmen of the planet. The main entrance to the complex was located at the terminus of Palace Plaza, a broad promenade which was crowned at the opposite end by the palace courtyard, erected in the aftermath of the Trade Federation invasion in 32 BBY. The triumphal arch stood halfway between the fountain-filled courtyard and the steps of the palace, which were lined with towering statues of famed philosophers who helped shape the constitution of Naboo's government.
Number 9.
Within one of the lower rotundas near to the entrance was the nerve center of politics on Naboo, the throne room of the planet's monarch, a vaulted chamber with tall windows. The throne rested behind the desk of office with several chairs around which to accommodate members of the court. The throne was made, not only for comfort, to reflect the calm serenity maintained on the planet, but also for function. Control panels on the armrests monitored incoming transmissions, and several hold-out pistols were kept securely in reach. Further back within the palace was the audience chamber of the Royal Advisory Council, a body of noblemen and women from the city who advised the monarch on social issues as well as more mundane aspects of politics.
Number 10.
During the palace's early years, King Jafin began the tradition of expanding the original structure. Establishing a square turret on the rear of the palace, he included a temple to past rulers and a lavish residence hall to house dignitaries from off-world. Following the tradition, King Ars Varuna constructed a massive library during his reign over the planet. I do hope you liked today's video. I thought the palace looked beautiful. What do you think of the Royal Palace? Let me know in the comments section. Hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel to get more videos like this. Thank you to our members on the channel. I appreciate you very much. Take care and have a great day.